Hello princesses! Today I'm going to be doing my next series of Intro to Beauty, which is going to be all about bases. So I'm going to be talking about how to apply them, what tools you can use, concealers, as well as setting powders. So if you haven't already, please watch the first part of the base series, which is going to be talking about how to find your skin tone and your skin concerns, which is how you find your perfect base foundation. So with bases, you can use a primer, but it is definitely optional. There are many different types of primers. So you have pore filling primers, which are generally silicone. These go on underneath your makeup, but after your skincare. So silicone pore filling primers generally go on the areas where you have bigger pores, which for most people is going to be on the tops of the cheeks, around the nose, and on the nose itself, sometimes in the middle of the forehead, the chin as well. You can use your primers to sort of like spot conceal areas. So if you have apparent pores around your nose here, but then you want a primer that is like moisturizing for this part of your skin, you can use different primers for different parts of your skin and you can combine them. I probably wouldn't layer them, so I wouldn't put like a moisturizing primer here and then on top put a like silicone pore filling primer, because it might be a little bit too much for your skin. A silicone pore filling primer is designed to sit on top of the skin and even out the surface layer. So it doesn't matter that it has silicones in it, because the silicones are not going to go into your skin. The molecules are too big. They are not able to penetrate the skin layer. So don't be worried that pore filling primers have silicone in them. It really doesn't matter. They are doing their job and providing a smooth base. A moisturizing primer would be like the Style Nanda Back to Baby Glow Beam. This is just a really gentle moisturizer, but it kind of has like glowy and dewy properties. So it just looks like a cream and you spread it out just like you would a cream as well. But see how it gives my hand that beautiful shine? You can use this underneath your makeup or on top of it as well as a highlighter, and it'll give your skin a little bit more luminosity. If you have a matte foundation that makes your skin look a little bit too dry, you can definitely use this to layer it up and it'll just look a little bit more dewy and glowy. It's also really great if you have dry skin or dull looking skin, because it's just going to brighten it up a little bit. Now, tools to apply your base. It depends on what base you have. So there are three main types of foundation base. My favorite is a liquid foundation. Usually they come in little bottles, this shape or pretty much any other shape, and they usually have a pump top. Sometimes they only have like a screw top, and those are a pain in the butt, but a foundation that is liquid just generally looks like a cream. Oh my god, you can't even see that. They can have different viscosity, so they can be really liquidy like this one is, or they can be a thicker texture. It depends on the foundation and what it is doing for your skin. But I find that a liquid foundation is actually easier for beginners because it's easier to not make mistakes with. It's definitely more forgiving, so I always recommend this for beginners. So easy to spread out. You can use your fingers. There is nothing wrong with using your fingers with a liquid foundation or a cream foundation, not a powder, that wouldn't work. But they're easy to spread out, they're forgiving, and they are best for people who have acne or texture, because they are less apparent on those raised parts of your skin because of the thinner texture. My personal favorite way to apply a liquid foundation is to use a cushion puff, or, oh my god, I almost dropped it, a beauty blender. So these are sponge type applicators. A cushion puff is still a sponge, it's just a flat one. So if you don't want to buy a beauty blender or can't afford one, because these are really expensive, I definitely recommend picking up a cushion puff if you can get them. Generally they are Korean branded. They are so good. You just slip your fingers under and pat, pat, pat. With your sponges, you want to dab your foundation on rather than swipe it or like rub it into your skin. You want to gently pat. Literally like hitting your skin. You should hear this noise if you're using a cushion puff. Great. With a beauty blender, always wet your beauty blender first. Cushion puffs do not need that, which is why I prefer them, because I am lazy. This will double in size and you do the same patting motion. Just can't hear it because it's a different shape, I guess. The pointy part, great for around the eyes and around the nose. The other part, the flat part, great for bigger surface areas. You want to press the foundation into your skin by using dabbing or rolling motions. Don't drag it. because you're going to get a lot of streaks that way. Liquid foundations are the easiest and the simplest to use. I don't personally prefer to use foundation brushes because I don't even have one with me, because I find that it gives me streaks and I just have to go back in with a cushion puff and like pat it in. So that is my preferred method and the one that I definitely recommend for using a liquid foundation. For powder foundation, these are great for princesses who have young skin or really perfect skin. It does emphasize a little bit of the dry patches on my skin personally, which is why I don't prefer them, and I only have one powder foundation that I almost never use as a solo powder. But these ones you want to use a big fluffy brush, not a domed one like this, but just a flat one, and you want to really buff it into the skin using circular motions. You can't pat these on, it doesn't really work that well, but do have a little bit of an experiment with how you apply the powders and see what works best for you. Cream products are great for heavy coverage because they are a thicker texture. However, they are harder to apply, and for me they look so cakey on my skin and they tend to break up really badly. But a cream product, I would definitely recommend using a brush exactly the same way as using a powder product and really buffing it into the skin. That way it gets into your skin a little bit more. You can use a cushion puff to actually pat it into your skin, but I find that I end up applying way too much if I do it this way. So cream products are definitely not my favorite, but I can see their purpose. It's easier to get a high coverage cream product than it is to get a high coverage liquid product because of the sheerness of most of the liquids. So now that you've got your base on beautifully, remember to blend down your neck. You don't want to have a line where your face stops and your neck begins. So if you bring your neck up like that, just pat down or blend down, or my favorite is to do that to make sure that you haven't got a gap in between where the colors are, because it doesn't look good. So after you have your beautiful foundation set down, you can choose to spot conceal if you would like to. So for my concealer, I like a liquid concealer, but you can also get a cream. Again, the creams are much more high coverage in general. Not always, but in general. So these come with a doe foot applicator, which means that you can choose to spot conceal, which means that if you have one tiny little spot, or like two or three, or like for me, half of my face, you can dab onto that spot and then blend it out using your fingers or a cushion puff. You can also use these underneath your eyes, but a lot of the time if you have blue based bags underneath your eyes, you'll need a color correcting concealer, and that is a little bit more advanced, and this is supposed to be the basics. So spot concealing just means that you pick a concealer that is the correct skin tone, so it should match your foundation. You don't want it to be lighter or deeper in color, otherwise you're going to be able to see little patches which are a different color. That's a no-no. You pop the concealer straight onto your skin, and I just use my finger to blend it out, so much easier. But that is how you spot conceal. And then once everything is on your face, you want to set it with a powder. This is not 100% necessary. So if you want your skin to be super dewy and super glowy, or you've got dry skin and you don't want it to look any more dry, you don't have to set with a powder. A lot of foundations are self-setting, or you can just use them as they are. For me personally, I set my foundation every single time because my hair loves to stick to my face, and I hate that. Like trying to claw it off my face, oh no, not here for it. My favorite is the Laura Mercier translucent setting powder. Translucent meaning that the powder itself will not add any extra color or coverage to your skin. However, you can get powders that are colored and will add extra coverage to your skin. So it depends on what your skin types and your skin concerns are. The easiest way to use a setting powder if you are just wanting to set your skin is to pick up a little bit of powder in the cap, use a rolling motion with your brush to get all of the excess powder in and around the brush so that you don't have big chunks, and then lightly tap it on your face. Try not to buff it in like this, because if your foundation is easy to move, then you're going to end up like swirling the powder around into the foundation and it's going to look messy. So gently pat. You're just trying to stop it from moving anywhere else, right? So don't try and move it to start with. So a translucent powder will mean that there won't be any extra color to your skin, although some translucent powders, especially if they look white, if you have a deeper skin tone, can work the opposite way and make you look a little bit gray or ashy. I'm not an expert on deeper skin tones, so I can't really provide that much information. So once you have set your base, you are ready to move on to the next step, which could be eyes, it could be cheeks or lips. It depends on what you want to do with your makeup next. As a disclaimer, I'm not a beautician, I'm not a cosmetologist, I'm not really sure. I'm not qualified in any way to give advice on skincare or makeup. However, I do have a lot of experience with skincare and makeup, so I'm just trying to share my experience for some beginners. And again, this is really generalized advice. I cannot tell you specifically what things are going to work extremely well for your skin 100% of the time, because everybody's preferences are so different and everybody's skin is so different. Something might work amazingly well for me and terribly for you. There's literally no way for me to tell. So please just take this as general advice, not solid set in stone rules, because otherwise you're going to be disappointed, I think. So next week I'm going to be showing you how to do eyebrows, eyeliner and mascara. Eyeshadow I'm not going to be showing you in the introduction to beauty, because I feel like that is a slightly higher technique or a slightly harder technique to do, so I'm not going to be covering that. But if you would like me to, I'd be happy to do some in January as like a step higher sort of thing. I don't know. We'll see how many people watch this. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!